Welcome back to Shaman King 2021 Anime Review episode number 30. Yes, with this particular one, this is actually part one of a four-parter. This is kind of odd, the fact they never, usually a lot of time, these previous 20 episodes are a series of loosely connected episodes, not the first of an actual arc. Yes, but this arc is a prequel arc to the series, and it's kind of something that they didn't do this when the series started back in May. Well, because they want to adapt this up in order. The only thing that they did adapt before this was basically, they adapted twice, was basically Yo's birth. This, of course, is 10 years after that particular birth scene. Yes. Now, things starts off right where we left up. Now, this episode does cover chapters 162 to 165. Yes, we're back to basically doing 4 chapters again, even though the last 3 episodes they've done pretty much 5 chapters. I'm not really sure why they've done this for. Yes, where the last 2 episodes they have done 5 chapters apiece, and now we're back to 4 chapters again. I don't get it. It's kind of weird. Now, I should point out, though, this arc is roughly 15 chapters. The arc that comes after this, Epilogue, is longer. Yes, that's the very next arc that comes right after this one wraps up. Yes, Epilogue starts with chapter 177, and it's not the final arc of the series. No, it just basically is called Epilogue. And it doesn't wrap up until chapter 207. This one is even longer than this arc, which is known as Mount Osore la Voile. This is basically part 1. And this one is roughly 15 chapters, while the next one is roughly about 21. That's how long it is. Now, we start with last week where Yo has pretty much basically decided to drop out of the Shaman King fight because he was requested to by the X-Laws, who are dressed outside of normal attire. And here's something really weird, though. Excuse me. Last episode, which I did a review of, I think it was back on Sunday because the episode was kind of weird. This week they actually bothered to upload it, which thank God I did. So, Yo drops out the fight because requested to by Iron Maiden Genie, who was basically wearing her Shaman King attire, despite like last week she was wearing a dress. Not really sure why. So, Yo agrees to drop out, so just so he can heal Rin. Because Menta basically firmly believes that Yo would never turn his back on a friend, this is definitely true. And then we go back and then we have Anna show up right after he drops his oracle. That's the device he has, where she proceeds to bury under stones. And then we flash back 3 years prior to the end of the series. 3 years. Because the series said in 1998, we're now going back in time to 1995. Where we see that Yo has come home from school. And his grandfather's like, what, you skip school again? He's like, no, it's our winter break. And he's like, okay, you probably want to see a report card. And he's like, not interested in that. And then he tells him, oh yeah, your future wife has been chosen. He's like, what? He's thinking, what? Yeah, I'm glad they kept this reaction. So yeah, they kept the reaction of Yo basically finding out he's going to get a wife. Yeah, and by the way, Tameko's spirits are here in this episode, but apparently they're not her spirits yet, per se. Where they mentioned, they mentioned that they've been serving the family for 400 years. And they're talking, she's basically 7 at this point. Yes, Tamako is 7. So that means currently she is 10, while Yo is 13 years old. And one thing I did notice, though, this is nothing unusual. It looks like he hadn't, physically, appearance-wise, hadn't changed in 3 years. Same with Tamako. And you see her where she's blushing at Yo because it's very heavily implied that she's in love with him. So, and of course they chat for a bit and they look at, we see a cat spirit outside. Yes, his name is Matsumi. That's his name. Where he proceeds to beat the crap out of the other two spirits who are there, who he proceeded to, while staying there briefly, managed to convince these two to put on a pair of diapers because they used to refuse to put on a pair of pants. Yes, seriously. These creatures would not put on a pair of pants because they said, oh yeah, they felt this too bulgy. Really? You call pants too bulgy? It's because you won't it's not because you won't fit the pants. Because you can't find a pair of pants that fit you. So, put a pair of diapers. Okay, make it freaking babies. Okay, at least it explains where the diapers come from. So, after staying there for a while, basically him and Yo go to meet Yo's fiance. And Atasumi, the titular title. So, they go to Osore, I think that's a pronounced name of the place. I'm sorry if I mispronounce some Japanese location names, but I'm doing the best I can with this. So they go on a bullet train. Yes, what looks to be a bullet train, I'd say, because that's the train they have that's the type of trains they have in Japan. So I assume this is a bullet train because it's Japan. That is my estimation. So I'm going through it. So it turns out that Yo's grandfather booked him a room. Excuse me, and it's mentioned by Mickey that Kino, who is his grandmother, Mickey refers to her as his mother-in-law. So does that mean Yo's grandfather is seen in the series? Does that mean that's actually his father? It's possible. So why she is here at the inn? They do explain that she runs in here as a cover because she's basically Inikto, I think it's how you pronounce it. It's basically a spirit priestess, from what I can tell. That's the best way to describe it. And it's used as the cover to train these future people. And according to Mickey, he explains to Tamako that the amount of girls who come to train have dropped off over the years. There's been a huge decline of it. And of course, Matsumi does talk about when he's at a restaurant with Yo, he talks about the war and how the war blinded her. He also mentions that he had not seen her in 50 years. So that means the last time he saw her was back in 1945, and she mentioned she was a beautiful woman at that point. Oh yeah, by the way, I should point out though they have her listed her age as 73. Yo's grandfather is 76, and Yo's father is 37. So that means currently he's 40. Yes, 40 years old. And he looks exactly the same. Yes, sometimes 3 years for some people, they don't really age at all in 3 years. Unless, of course, age really badly. Because look at Yo. He looked like, physical appearance-wise, he looked like, aside from his clothing, he didn't change. It was like nothing changed about him at all. So, even though he says he's going to go visit Yo's grandmother, Kino, and talks to her briefly and apologize for not keeping in touch for 50 years. Of course, Yo just wanders to the restaurant, and he just happens to run into Anna for the first time. Yep, he meets her just out of the restaurant, where she proceeds to say, die, because that's the thing for her. And she always has this, and this is actually unchanged from the current thing, where she very rarely smiles, and she's always very angry. Oh yeah, and here's the thing, Yo describes her as cute. Yes, Yo describes a girl who's the same age as he is as cute. I buy it. I don't have much of an issue with it. It's perfectly fine. So, and then right afterwards, he's soaking for a while. And then, of course, he's attacked by a freaking demon. Yes, he's attacked by a demon. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention the whole thing with the train. When he arrives, he basically was asleep because he was talking to the cat for a long period of time. So when he arrives to the town he's supposed to go up, he basically has to spring out of bed. And by the way, his only belongings about with him was a freaking backpack with stuff in it. I'm thinking, a backpack? Since when do you travel on a train with just a backpack? Like, I figured, yes, I get the fact it's the 90s. I'm thinking, no, you travel on a train and all you bring with you is your backpack? You don't bring a suitcase with you? And your grandmother runs an inn. You would think they would bring a suitcase. Nope, a freaking backpack. Okay. Oh yeah, and the whole thing about mentioned about the wife. A lot of times referred to as either in the manga, they refer to more as the wife than basically the fiance. Excuse me. So By the way, Yo does not have his guardian spirit at this point. This cat is kind of his first one he's had. So, fast forward to basically October 4, where he's like soaking, and then he's attacked by a demon. Where the demon, he tries to attack it with his leaf spirits. Yes, his leaf spirits, which the demon easily beats. And then Matsumi comes back and easily beats the demon with apparently this ghost hat where his pipe is his oversoul. He did bring up the fact he has served the family for 1,000 years. 1,000 years of blood, 1,000 years of bloodshed. Yeah. He's a very interesting cat. And he turns his pipe into a freaking sword. Kills Dean with that. And then we have the episode ends with Anna watching Yo. This is a slight visual change because in the manga, we saw her leaning from the right side of the building. Here we just flopped it around the left side. Yes, this anime would do that at times. And by the way, this is actually one of 2 anime I've seen where they take an image of manga and all they do is they flip the image around. And you're thinking, is there anime that did this that I've done reviews for? Yes. Fire Force did this many times. Which, it's not really a big issue. It doesn't change the scene at all. It just changes the perspective. And where the positioning is. That's really all they changed here. But that's the only thing minor change they had in this episode. Mostly, everything is exactly the same as been in the manga. Which, kudos for that. There's no major change here. Nothing cut. Everything presented really well. And I do appreciate it. Nothing really to dislike about the episode. Not really, no. I would say the only thing you might say is a bit of a dislike. Now, they do mention that Yo's grandmother got blind during the war. My guess is it was probably during World War II. That's my personal guess because that was 50 years prior to the series. So I'm assuming it's World War II. They don't say it's World War II, but I'm assuming it's that one. Yep. But yeah, that's a particular view. And that's probably going to be a video today, unless it's somehow spring on a comic corner out of nowhere. So, into the next video. Now, in the case of tomorrow, it would just be two anime reviews. It would be Wrestling in the World, which that I'm starting to do regular reviews of tomorrow, and Case Closed, which is going to be part 2 of the canon case. Okay, so next video. Bye.